Hello, nerds. Nerds for humanity. It has been a while. Hold on a second. It has been a while, but we are back, and we have an update about the whole Nerds for Democracy game, and a little sneak peek. We even have like printed cards now. And so for today's show, I am joined by Rom and Spider-Man. You guys might know Spider from the old Yang Gang days. And
Hello,
Rom and
nerds.
thanks Spider for coming on.
Absolutely.
And we've got Rom, who is who used to work in the same tech company as I did many moons ago. Rom, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone.
All right, so maybe we could just start with a little bit of a introduction to like the game, and then we're gonna actually demonstrate a few rounds. We're not gonna play a whole game. The whole game would take about 45 minutes to an hour, but we'll just give you a flavor for how the game works, because it's kind of fun. And then we will talk politics. And the good news is that Rom, Spider, and me, we don't always agree 100%. Maybe Spider and I are fairly well aligned, but Rom and I sometimes have different views, so that'll be fun, because the current occupant of the Oval Office always gives us things to talk about. Before we start playing the game, Rom or Spider, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about how you think the project is going, or what you like about it so far?
I think that you're underselling on how fun this game is, because I had a great time playing. The last time we played, I had a lot of fun. And once we work all the kinks out and get everything streamlined, it's going to be way fun.
Yeah, Spider, what was most fun for you last time we played?
The last time we played, the most fun for me was being the loser and having influence on how the two front runners, how they manipulated the board, and it had impact on their moves. And even though I was way behind, there was no chance I was going to win. It was still fun because I had direct impact on you guys and what you guys went through.
Yeah, that is one of the cool things about the game, in that when you land on a board location, oftentimes it'll say, well, the person in last place is going to make this decision, or they're going to judge this debate. So sometimes like that last place, they're kind of like the kingmaker. Rom, what about you, man? How are you feeling about the project?
Oh, it's coming along quite nice. So when I pitched this to you last year, it was much more complex, thanks to Ryan and you. And I should say even some of our game play testers from the early rounds and Mike. Like we all brought this to such an enjoyable state, especially the breaking news cards. I love the skateboard card for some reason. And it's super fun. So I hope others also play and get the same feeling.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to show a short demo today, right?
Yes, we are. And I'm just, I've got all these cards that my children were so interested in looking at, but they didn't put it back in the right categories. Go, big surprise there. But maybe while I'm organizing this, let me just start I'll give people like a high level, and then we'll show it. So basically the way the game works is every player is running for president, and you are making decisions as you're moving across the board towards the White House. And those decisions, you get to hold, like you get to build a hand where, let's say, a primary choice is like, oh, I want to target key states. Or another primary choice would be, oh, I want to work on my campaign messaging. And depending on what happens later in the game, maybe as quickly as the next roll, if you have certain cards in your hand, you will get advantages, like you'll get to move forward some extra spaces. And ultimately, the winner of the game is the first person who gets to the White House. So probably best to just play it and show you guys how it works. I'll show you one of the recent kind of test boards. There's little spaces, and then you kind of move across them and get to the end, and each space has certain impacts that happen. We're going to play with an even more updated version today that doesn't have all the beautiful artwork that Spider did, but rest assured, when we make this available for purchase, it'll have the beautiful artwork, and it'll be really nicely done. And you can tell these cards are like poker cards. They're really beautiful. So good job, Spider. Any other questions or things you guys want to call out before we just play a few rounds?
I say we just jump right into it.
All right. So I have 3 pieces. We'll have official pieces, but right now we're just going to use like random Lego detritus that I have around the house. So Spider, you're going to be the trapezoid, and Rom, you can be the skinny thing, and then I'll be the round white thing. So the way it works is the first thing we do is everybody gets dealt 3 of these choice cards, okay? And you get to look at them and then decide which one you're going to keep. So I'm going to deal 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to show everybody what I have. I have gotten these 3 cards. One is environmental policy, another is media strategy, and another is social policy emphasis. Now, the media strategy one has a little special thing which says, this is a narrative duplex, where if I collect voter outreach or endorsements and hold on to this card, it forms like a hand, and I can advance +1 each turn. So I'm going to hold on to media strategy for me, and I'll discard the other 2 that I'm not going to keep. And then Rom, you have seek endorsements, campaign messaging, and hire a personal trainer to help you lose weight. If you keep the personal trainer one, oh my God, this is a great one. Just hold on to this and advance +1 on all your even rolls. Campaign messaging, if you have 2, you can +1 every turn, and if you have 3, you can move a opposing player back 1. And then your seek endorsements is also part of the narrative duplex. So if you have media strategy or voter outreach, you'll be +1ing if you can make that pair. What do you want to keep, Ram?
I'll keep the personal trainer for now.
Yeah, of course. That's an easy +1 every time. Okay, so Ram, you have that one. I'm going to discard the other 2. And Spider, you got hire campaign team, which also gives you a +1 if you pair it with policy platform or fundraising strategy. You have target key states. If no other player has this, then you advance +1 for every event that benefits. And then you have voter outreach, which is part of the narrative duplex. If you combine this with media or endorsements, you'll +1. So do you want to do target key states, hire campaign team, or voter outreach?
I'm going to take the target key states.
Okay. You'll keep that one. Okay, now we all have our cards, and then there is the major event, and then we roll, right? I think that's the order.
Right.
I don't have the cheat sheet with me. Okay, so we're going to now see there's a primary major event deck. So I'm going to pick one, and then we'll see what impact it has on us. So I picked this one. Ooh, economic downturn. Stock market crashes starting a panic. If you have economic policy platform, battleground states, fundraising, or media strategy, you benefit. Ooh, I have media strategy. You had target key state spider. That doesn't help you. And then Ram, you have personal trainer, so you get +1 no matter what. But since I have media strategy, I get to move 1. So I'm going to move my fat head 1, and then Ram, you get to move 1 because you have the personal trainer.
Don't I get +1 only for even rolls? Is it
No, that was a different one. You get +1 on all your rolls for personal trainer.
Nice.
Yeah,
even better.
Yeah, even better. Okay, so now we roll, and let me just do a virtual dice. Roll dice.
I have a question about my card.
Yes.
It says if no other player has this, but there's only one of these. So how could another player have this?
Because if for the real one, we're going to print 3 of every card.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so now I will share my screen. Roll dice. Okay, so I will roll for Spider since you're in last place. I'll roll for you first. You ready?
Come on, big money.
Here it comes. No whammies. 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, you landed on a space that says debate. Debate candidate sitting to your right. The winner advances 4 spaces.
Ooh.
Okay, so who would be sitting to your right? I don't know, maybe Ram. I mean, I'm not sure. It could be me or Ram. I'll just say Ram for the time being.
Okay.
And then I'll roll for you, Ram. You get a 5. Oh man.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, you landed on a space that says stump speech. Top candidates give a stump speech on why they should be POTUS. Last place candidate is the judge. Winner advances 3 spaces. Okay, so let me roll before we start acting on all these things. 3. 1, 2, 3. Number 3 is I rolled. It says breaking news. So I pick a card from the breaking news deck that applies to me, and it says social media stunt sells out. Leading leading candidate event, but no one shows. First place candidate moves back due to embarrassment. If you're not, and I'm not in first place because Ram is in first place. It says if you're not in first place, roll again. So I'm going to roll again. And I get to a 5. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now we need to act on the other 2 spaces. So Ram, you landed on stump speech. So the top candidates have to give a stump speech on why they should be president. And the last place candidate is the judge, which is you, Spider. You're last place currently.
So how much time do I have for the speech?
Why don't we just each take 30 seconds?
All right, who goes first?
Spider, you decide.
Let me flip a coin. Tom goes first.
Okay. Can you time me, Spider? 30 seconds?
Actually, Tom, can you put the timer on the Google page too?
Sure.
Audience can see it too.
Okay. 30 seconds. 30. Can you guys see the timer?
Yes, I can.
You ready? I'm going to go. I'll go first.
Okay.
My name's Tom Leung, and I'm running for president because it is time for a choice that believes in fiscal responsibility, a secure border, immigration reform, but having it done in a way that's competent, that's compassionate, and that's rational and predictable. We don't want chaos, but we don't want Biden's sort of lack of taking initiative either. Thank you. Okay. You ready, Ram?
Yep, I am.
Okay, go.
I am Ram Durba. I endorse this message. You have to elect me as president because I'll bring our national debt down from 37 trillion down to zero. I'll create more jobs and improve the economy. We're going to have a surplus of trillions of dollars. That's going to take care of most of our problems, like healthcare costs rising in the country. I'm also going to invest heavily in education and higher education, leading to more companies and startups.
All right. Judge Spider?
Are you guys going to do rebuttals or not?
No, this is just a stump speech. So just the one time.
Okay. I'd be super interested in going to Ron's website and reading all of his detailed policies on how he's going to achieve all this. But this is a tough one because I side with Tom on the fact that we need to change things gradually, not just go in there like a bull in a china shop and just destroy everything and think they can rebuild it all within a short amount of time. I don't think that's going to work. I think it needs to be gradual changes and reforms. So can I say I don't want to say it's a tie because I need more
There's
information.
no option for a tie. You have to pick one based on this topic. So we can move to the next role.
I'm going to pick Tom, but I want to hear more from Rom.
Okay,
because he didn't have enough time to fully convince me.
All right. So I'm going to move ahead 3, and then that accomplishes Rom's action space. Now, Spider, you landed on the debate space. So you have to debate the person sitting to your right. I think, why don't you debate Rom, and I'll be the judge. And I would like you guys to debate. Now I have to think, should I do a fun one or a serious one? Since we had a serious stump speech, I think we'll do a fun one.
Yes.
Okay. So here's the topic, and I will put the timer back on. The topic is if you're in a parking lot and you're looking for a parking space, and it's really tough. It's a very busy day in the parking lot. And you see someone walking towards their car and they just got into the car. And in order for you to take that space, you're going to have to stop and wait for them to leave. And the parking lot is very narrow so that there's other cars coming. So like people can't easily go around you. The topic of the debate is one side will have to take the position that you are absolutely in your rights to wait for the person to leave. the other person should take the position that you should keep moving because they just got in the car. Unless you see the reverse lights, you should not stop all the traffic behind you. You guys understand the topic?
I do.
I do. So are you going to assign who's taking which side of the argument?
Yes. And we'll do, I think we'll do we say 45? Maybe we'll just, since this is a quick live stream, we'll do 45, and then 30-second rebuttal, 30-second rebuttal. Ram, you will take the position that as long as a person's in the car, you can wait. And Spider, you will take the position that unless the reverse lights are on, you got to keep rolling. Okay? Ram, we'll have you start. You ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Go.
So we should be allowed to wait as soon as we see someone get in their car in a busy parking lot, because it will save time for everybody, including those behind you, to wait early. Otherwise, the person cannot pull the car out comfortably. So they are waiting for much longer, occupying the space for much longer. And if you wait, you can make it easy for them to come out so you can go inside it. And if you wait for a certain period of time and they do not come out, then you can advance, go find another spot. But waiting is the most efficient way to create a new empty space that can be occupied.
Okay. You ready, Spider?
I'm ready.
Go.
I agree with you up to a certain point that I think if I were pulling up to a spot, seeing somebody leaving their spot, I think waiting 2 minutes max is enough. Anything longer than that is, depending on how busy the parking lot is, it could be really holding up a lot of movement in the parking lot. And I don't think anybody should have main character syndrome and holding up an entire parking lot just because they want a spot. I think that's a little much. So, in conclusion, that's it.
All right. Now, 30-second rebuttal from Ram. Go ahead, Ram. Ram, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I lost the time. So it's not about our personal need only, but it's also about making sure there's efficiency in the parking lot so people can park the car and get on with their business. So it's better to wait, make sure the spot opens up, occupy it soon so that other cars can move on and find their own spots.
All right. Last rebuttal from Spider.
I tend to agree with that. And I also agree with the point that you made that while you're waiting for this car to back out, it increases the safety because there's less chance that a car will pull out and back into somebody while they're pulling out, while somebody's approaching. So I don't really have any more arguments against what you said. You made some good points.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to go with Ram as the judge on this one.
I concede. He made some good points.
So Ram would move ahead 3. And then, so now people get a sense of the game. Basically, you get these cards, you try and pick the ones that will help you. There's a little bit of luck depending on what kinds of events occur. And then there's a little bit of strategy when you land on an action space and you have to kind of interact with another player. And there you go. We just went through 1/4 of the board. I actually went to the end of the first quarter of the board. So you could imagine like a full game for 3 of us probably would have taken, maybe about, 45 minutes, an hour, probably about an hour. So, that's a little bit of a sneak peek. I think where we are now in the development process is we've done a lot of, first of all, thanks to everybody. If you're watching this and you were involved in play testing over the summer, we got a lot of great feedback about, being able to figure out what to do and maybe a little bit of simplification and also how people like the player-to-player interaction. So we tried to act on all of that feedback. And I think I agree with Rom and Spider. The game's come along quite well. Now we have like actual cards. So I think we probably are going to do another set of external play testing. Actually, we're looking for volunteers. So if you're interested, comment below or email me, tom@nerdsfordemocracy.com. And just reach out to me and we'll get you, on the list for someone that can give it a try with your friends at home and then give us some feedback. And then after that, depending on how it goes, we might be ready to do a full production version. But that's my sense of where the game's at. Rom and Spider, anything you want to add?
No, I don't have anything really to add that would be helpful.
Rob?
Yeah, the game rules have been simplified significantly based on our design discussions, game simulations, and all that. So the game is super fun to play, and it moves faster than what we saw today. We slowed it down for explanation and comfort today, but when we actually play the game, it picks up pace quite quickly and it's quite entertaining. And I can't wait to hear more feedback from based on the new board design, where there's action on every square. It's a really good game. You all should play the game.
All right. Now so that ends the Nerds for Democracy board game update. Again, tom@nerdsfordemocracy.com, or if you're watching it on replay, just comment below and I'll find a way to reach out to you. But let's talk a little bit about current events. What do you think, Rom? How are you feeling about the state of the country?
I was out sick most of last week, so I didn't catch all of the headlines. But the couple of things I did notice are Doge seems to have claimed that they saved $55 billion so far. I only heard about the claim. I did not follow up to see if it's actually verified by any fact-checking or third-party organization. The other thing I caught was that so someone went to this website where the Treasury disperses funds to the different benefactors of Treasury funds or recipients. And they confirmed that all payments to USAID have been stopped. Or most payments, I don't remember. But some payments have been stopped. So that indicates that there's some corroboration to the claim that money being spent was stopped. Now, whether it was useful money going to productive causes or work projects, that is for analysts to come out and give us more light on. The other thing is there was some I couldn't, like, in the headlines that I got, I didn't see much more on the Gaza Strip proposal that we were discussing last week, right? Trump had proposed that the US should invest and develop the Gaza Strip. I know the other alternatives have also been considered, I guess.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see more news on that.
I have thoughts on both of those, and then Spider, it'd be great to get your thoughts on those or other topics regarding to the current events. So for me on the Doge thing, I know a lot of my MAGA family, they rightly say that I'm very critical of Trump because I am. But I will start with a positive thing, which is, of all people, Secretary of Defense Hegseth, who I was also not impressed with at all during the confirmation hearings, This is the Fox News host. He is a veteran, but I think his most recent job was a TV commentator. He has announced, or it has been reported, that he has asked the Pentagon to provide 8% per year cuts to the Pentagon budget. Now, asking for cuts versus making cuts is not the same, but maybe we give them the benefit of the doubt, and if they really do squeeze efficiency out of the $1 trillion defense budget, that would be fantastic. And so on the positive side, if it's not just U.S. aid and Department of Education and sort of these smaller line items, and they really go after the $1 trillion line items, then who knows? Maybe there is going to be some reduction in spending. The thing about the Doge wall of transparency and stuff is, number one, I think, Ram, you're right that nobody's confirmed any of these things. Like, they tweet out like, oh, we found this, and nobody's there have been a number of reports where, the famous, like, oh, we found all this money going to condoms for Hamas, and it turns out not to be true. Or they canceled this contract that was already canceled under the Biden administration. So with the Doge stuff, the one thing I would suggest to people is, remember, this is a $6 trillion budget that we have. Every year, this country spends $6 trillion. So if you want to really, and we have a deficit, $7 trillion. It used to be $6 trillion. Now we spend $7 trillion. And the annual deficit is $2 trillion. So every year we spend $2 trillion more than we take in. So when Doge is like, oh, $10 billion has been spent on DEI training, that is a drop in the bucket. If you want to knock out a $2 trillion annual deficit, even 10% of that is $200 billion. Now, he claims that he's found $55 billion. I saw a news report yesterday that says, like, it's probably closer to 8 that they've really found, and whether it actually gets implemented or not is a different thing. So, they're clearly not touching the 3 largest sources of spending, which is Medicare, defense, Social Security. Until you see them actually cutting there, it's all red meat for Twitter and the base, but it's not actually really gonna, like, no serious economist or business person would be like, oh, wow, you've been running at a massive loss every year, and now you're actually gonna be in the black. So that's my take on the Doge stuff. I feel like it's a little bit of kabuki theater, but to the extent that Hegseth follows through on his commitment to cut 8% a year from the Pentagon, I mean, that would be damn near $100 billion a year of reduction. So that would be pretty amazing. Spider, what are your thoughts on Doge before we go to Gaza?
Well, I've heard them saying a whole lot. Like you said, they found money spent on condoms for this and money for that, but there's nobody really overseeing them. So how do we really know for sure? And that administration isn't really the most honest administration. So we'll see. I did listen to J.D. Vance's speech at the AI conference, and I liked what he had to say. If they follow through on that, I don't know if you've watched it or not, but if you watch it,
I missed
and
that one.
he was actually, I don't really like him personally, but he gave a good speech. And if he, like I say, if they follow through on what they say they're going to do regarding AI, I think it's a solid plan.
Yeah, I caught some of that too, and in the All In podcast, there was some review of that speech too, effectively. And I didn't hear the direct speech or read the transcript. I just heard other people praise that he did a good job there. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, you don't hear about JD nearly as much as Musk these days, but I'm glad JD's getting out there. I think the last thing I heard about him was his speech to Europe was, I found very odd. Like, you go over to Europe to talk to your allies, and then you start like wagging your finger at them, saying that they don't allow their media to cover, free speech. Whereas that same week, the White House blocked access to the Associated Press because they refused to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, and their access to covering the White House is going to be restricted until they say the words Gulf of America. It's like, what kind of free speech is that?
Exactly.
Where you're restricting access based on whether you like what the story they're telling or not. Like, that's not freedom of the press.
Did they also say, if you're not with us, you're against us?
I mean, it damn close to it. I mean, even when Trump ran, he did say that the media is the enemy of the state. And, I mean, who else sued? He sued 60 Minutes because they edited an interview. It's like, really? Mr. Private Enterprise, less government regulation. It seems like less government regulation, unless you do something that I don't like, then I'm going to regulate the hell out of you. I don't know. It seems like what a king would do.
King or dictator?
Yeah, either one. I mean, and then the Ukraine stuff. We haven't talked about Ukraine. Oh, well, you brought up Gaza as well. I just think I can't reconcile the fact that a lot of people voted for Trump because they didn't want America to be over involved in nation building. And now the president has proposed removing all of the Gazans, 2 million of them, and then saying that the U.S. is going to, quote, own Gaza. That sounds a lot like nation building to me. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure that will be the best recruiting narrative for extreme Muslim terrorists, because they're going to say, well, look, these Americans are trying to take land from the Middle East and own it. And like, those were actually the words out of the president's mouth. So I don't feel safer with the U.S. Being so lockstep on one side of this conflict and just abandoning the two-state solution. So to me, I'm very disappointed in the Gaza stuff. But what do you guys think? Do you think, I mean, the argument in favor is people say, well, he's thinking out of the box, and Netanyahu's very supportive of this direction, and he was, smiling right next to him when Trump was talking about this stuff.
I thought he only proposed that US should develop that area. If he wants to outright own it, that's a whole another discussion.
He's used the word own more than once. He could have walked it back the next day, but he didn't.
Yeah, right. Like, he's the kind of person who is known to walk back on his positions.
Yeah.
he never did that in all his public life. He takes a stand.
He did walk back on the All In pod when he was running. He said everybody who earns a degree from an American university should get a visa stapled to the diploma.
Oh,
And then the next day, his spokesperson said, "No, that's not that. He didn't mean that. That's not
yeah,
it."
that's then he didn't walk it back. His people tried to
His
cover
people
it
walked it back.
for
Yeah,
him.
but I don't think his people walked back the own Gaza thing. I haven't
Yeah,
heard it.
that's a more extreme position. But again, I'll reiterate what I said last week. I think uh, economic investment for development in that area is a solution to all these problems. Like most uh, criminal activity, terrorism kind of recruits, they these organizations feed on the poor people. They the moment economy develops, these opportunities disappear for them to recruit young people into these kinds of activities. So whatever need happens there, if the economy improves, most of these problems will disappear. However, if it becomes this whole extreme, we're going to own your land, we're going to confiscate your stuff, statements like that, they don't help, economy or not. Those are like Star Wars material. They'll just cannon fodder for those people.
Yeah, I mean, to move 2 million people out, and they said it would take 15 years to redevelop it. You know, if it's like voluntary, that's one thing. But it didn't sound like they said that, they're just going to be removed. And I'd love to get Spider's thoughts on this, but I'll just share one other thing about this that really kind of frustrates me a little bit. Part of the argument from Trump that you have to remove the 2 million Palestinians is that, Gaza is just pulverized and there's nothing there. Every building has been knocked down. The sewer is gone. The electricity is gone. The water, all the infrastructure is gone. I think Trump described Gaza as a demolition site. And his argument is, therefore, like, they have to get out and then we'll own it and redevelop it. But it kind of ignores the fact that it didn't pulverize itself.
Right.
Like, it didn't just spontaneously turn to sand. That was something happened. Ordnance was dropped. And that ordnance was produced and supplied from a variety of places, including the United States. So to kind of be like surprised at like, oh my God, Gaza's destroyed. What happened? It's like, well, come on. Like there were activities that happened for over a year, every day from October 8th forward. I'm not justifying October 7th at all. That was terrible, and that was murder and terrorism. But I would say I don't think it justifies, as President Trump says, turning all of Gaza into a giant demolition site. And there's I think latest news reports is 50,000 dead, 50,000 people. That's serious. Spider, what do you think?
I agree with Ram that Americans investing to rebuild, I would be in favor of that. But as far as like America owning Gaza, like Trump says, that's and then doing what with the people that live there? That's
I think they're saying that the U.S. will kind of twist the arms of Jordan and Egypt to take in the 2 million. But my view is like, look, if private enterprises want to go and develop Gaza, that's fine. Like, you don't need the president to propose this in front of Netanyahu. Like, why is this a White House discussion? But what private company is going to want to build housing and hotels and casinos and everything in Gaza? Like that doesn't seem like a great investment to me. I know he says it's going to be what did he call it? The Riviera of the Middle East, but I don't know. That just seems a little far-fetched, and definitely doesn't sound America first. Like, why would we be building infrastructure in Gaza before we've improved our like airport safety or our own bridges and tunnels here.
Okay, I have 3 points
Yes.
that I noticed. So one is I think they tried it in the past to relocate Palestinians to Jordan and Egypt, and they just couldn't adjust there, or the host countries did not accept them, so they were sent back. I think only Lebanon they were able to settle and continue to settle. So I don't know how it will work out this time around. The other point is, so this is a difficult one to say. Like human loss is human loss for whatever reason. The people who commit the terrorism and atrocities are usually hiding behind civilians, and civilians get hurt. But for that cycle to end, there has to be an external input. Somebody has to come in, improve the economy, give people other things to do besides participate in wars and retributions. So that has to happen. That has to come from somewhere. If it's not coming from their own democratic process, it has to come from somewhere. Or people will keep on fighting forever, passing on the burden of revenge or whatever to next generations. The other thing is usually when like the economic lack of economic development is correlated with birth rates, fertility rates, and Gaza has or Palestine has one of the highest birth rates in the world. So that indicates that their economy is not doing good at all. So the way to fix it is to give them good opportunities to do other things. That has to happen somehow or the other. The question about rubble and relocation and all that, whether it, of course, it didn't happen spontaneously, but just hypothetically, if the same destruction had happened due to a natural disaster, we would all be in favor of moving the people out temporarily until cleanup and rebuilding activities take place. And then we would want them to move back into their old places. So much cement and all that stuff, it's unhealthy.
The thing is, Ram, I'm pretty sure Trump has made it clear that they would not be able to come back.
Yeah, that's a very bad bargaining situation.
Yeah.
Why are you developing it if people are not allowed to come back?
Because it'll be the jewel of the Middle East, the Riviera, waterfront property. I don't know. Yeah, I find it insulting, and I find it very unpresidential and un-American to say like, oh yeah, your land was bombed to bits. Sorry, but we'll own it now. Like, how's that going to go down with those young Palestinian kids who survived all the bombings? What do you think?
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to feel about America?
Not well.
Yeah.
So the other point, right? Who is going to, like, which companies will want to go build there? If you remember the Iraq War, a lot of companies went there. They recruited heavily here. Not just the big names like Halliburton, Carlyle Group, and those guys. Many other smaller companies also went there, got contracts, and they did work for redevelopment work.
Yes, I think a lot of that was through American government contracts, though, right? They weren't there in the free market saying like, okay, yeah, we'll work with the local Iraqi landowners and line up financing from banks or private equity.
Yeah,
I think those
I
are
don't. I
big
agree.
government contracts.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened after 2004, but before then, there were companies going out. I used to see ads for engineers and other roles to go work there.
Yes. Again, that doesn't sound very America first. If we're going to spend all this money building up Gaza so that it can get bombed to smithereens every 10 years, like what is the point of that?
Yeah, my position is if investment happens for those people, not like by driving them away and using the land, but cleaning it up, building it so the people there can actually participate in the economy and do well for themselves, whether it's a line of credit or just outright uh, contribution to their economy as a kickstart seed fund or whatever you want to call it. I'm okay with that. That actually helps them. But
All right. Well, let's talk about Ukraine. Spider, how do you feel about the war between Russia and Ukraine? And as a reminder, Trump, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, said that Ukraine started the war, that Zelensky's a dictator, he's the dictator, and that Zelensky should have just cut a deal with Putin, and we could have avoided all of this. What are your thoughts about that?
I disagree with what Trump has to say about that. I'm not really a very political person, so that's about all I have to say about that. I'm just anything that would help bring peace, I'm in favor of.
What do you think, Ram? Thanks, Spider. What do you think, Ram?
So this is like cherry picking facts. They're in the middle of a war with a weird dynamic going on. It's not possible to hold elections and get a new government. So, yeah, Zelensky's term expired. He's continuing to hold office after his term expired without another election. But come on, you have to look at the situation there. He probably invoked some emergency clause to hold on to office. That's probably not the wisest thing to say there. The other point is, again, we had this discussion before too, right? Like the question of NATO membership and access for Russia to the waters under Crimea, like temperate water ports or whatever it was. That's a business deal. I agree with that part. Like either they could have negotiated a deal for access and stuck to their no NATO membership for Ukraine. That would have closed everything. If Russia still proved to be the aggressor after that, then there's a clear case to go against them. Now it's all muddied and it's unclear who to blame for what.
Ram, not surprisingly, have a strongly critical position of Trump's statements. There is no confusion about who started this war. Like those tanks rolled from east to west. It wasn't Zelensky invading Russia. It was the Russia, Putin, I think he called it the denazification campaign, a special military operation to liberate the Ukrainians. So that's pretty clear to me. And this argument that, oh, well, Russia didn't want Ukraine to enter NATO. It's like, okay, well, number one, NATO is a defensive alliance, and a sovereign country should be able to join whatever the hell alliance they want. That doesn't mean you get to invade them. And secondly, what a miscalculation by Putin, because now Finland is in NATO. So NATO has grown because of this. And what I find odd is Trump keeps talking about, oh, I'm trying to save all these lives. It's like, well, Russia has had 100,000 casualties, deaths. But that was because they invaded another country. Like, if you're worried about all of these Russian lives, then just tell Putin to go back to Russia. I don't understand why does Ukraine have to give up its land so that Russia doesn't lose any more soldiers for invading Ukraine? That's just crazy. That's like us invading Canada and saying, oh, there's American troops are dying. You better give us Canada now.
Wait, he said that 51st state. Did you forget?
Oh my God. Yeah, he called Trudeau Governor Trudeau now. Like,
Yep.
what alternate reality is he living in?
So
He's an
yeah,
old dude.
like occupying territory by force is not the best solution. So like I said, one half of it I agree, the other I do not. Right.
Oh, and then did you guys see there's a new FBI hire? Another Fox News, I think, podcaster. Did you guys hear about this guy? What's his name? FBI appointee or nominee. He's going to work on Kash Patel's team. What the hell's his name?
Like, see this comment, Tom.
What's that? This one?
Yep, this one.
Yeah. Oh, what is it? There was this dude he's like a very high level too. Let me pull it up before oh yeah. Dan Bongino. Do you guys know him? You heard of this guy?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, this dude.
God. Do I have a punchable face or something? Why does everybody want to fight me all the time? Do I have a punch?
Obviously, that's not a flattering thing of him. So let me find Don Bongino, American commentator. He's been nominated now to be the deputy director of the FBI. He currently is the host of the Don Bongino Show, and he previously hosted Unfiltered with Don Bongino on Fox News. Yeah. So Kash Patel and Don Bongino. What do we? Everything's gonna be great. Is anybody else like a little concerned about Kash Patel, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth? Do these strike you as presidential cabinet caliber people?
Except for Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know any of the others. Kash Patel, I only knew of him once he became a candidate for this position. But Tulsi, I liked her since her last when she was a Democrat. She was a good debater. She ran a good campaign. I have that bias, so if she runs, I'll vote for her too. I might. I shouldn't say I will. I might.
So you think she's qualified to be the director of national intelligence? Like, what did she do?
I do not know what the criteria are for that role.
Yeah.
All I know is that when she ran a campaign, she ran it well. She made a good case for herself. She also served in the army before. So
yeah.
She's a veteran.
Yeah, like previous DNIs have served on like the Senate Intelligence Committee, James Clapper. They've been like really serious folks. They've been admirals in the Navy, vice admirals. These are tough jobs. As a reminder, this office was created after 9/11 to help prevent another attack. I think the biggest concern I have is she was the one that I think co-sponsored the legislation to pardon Edward Snowden, who, yes, exposed a lot of fourth kind of amendment issues, but also like burned a lot of American sources and methods. And now she's the head of the DNI. Like, that seems kind of weird. I don't know. But I hear you. I hear you, Ram, that she was a good debater. She did take down. Who did she take down? Was it Kamala in the 2016? Yeah.
So her debates with both, Kamala Harris, of course, and in that long lineup of primary debates, she did well. I remember that visually. I don't remember the point
she's
she
a good
made.
debater. But that doesn't mean that you should be the director of national intelligence for the United States.
Like I said, I have no clue what the criteria are for someone getting selected to that role. All I know is she has brand recognition. And in my case, I used to think that she was a good candidate. That's all I can say. The other people you named, I don't even know who they are until they started showing up in the news now.
Exactly. I mean, I'm being introduced to new people on a daily basis, and they're in control of our government. And I'm like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. I asked, because it's 2025, I asked ChatGPT. I said, Ram, what are the criteria for selecting a DNI? Okay, you have to be appointed and confirmed. Strong background in intelligence operations, prior leadership roles in the CIA, NSA, FBI, DIA, because that's you're basically over these organizations. Experience handling classified info, making intelligence-driven decisions, manage large, complex organizations, 17 intelligence agencies, interagency coordination, integrity. Okay, communication she has. Decision making, not so sure. I think she's the one that met with the Syrian. Assad.
Meeting with someone is not a problem at all for me. In fact, it's better that leaders meet, talk things out instead of throwing bombs at each other.
Yeah, I think the president and the members of the executive branch should. A member of Congress should be meeting with heads of state that are adversaries of ours without coordinating with the president and Department of State. I don't know. I hear you. I mean, what came out of that meeting? Any insights did she share?
I don't know, but just people who have influence on the ability to send our troops in harm's way should have the liberty to validate the claims made in support of such a vote. So before she votes for sending more of our troops somewhere else, she should be able to validate it independently. I'm perfectly fine with her doing that. And there should be precedence of others doing it too. I can't believe if she was the first person to have done that.
So the reason why it was controversial was Assad's role in war crimes and human rights violations. Meeting with him was seen as legitimizing his regime despite U.S. policy opposing him. There was no official U.S. authorization or mandate from the State Department or the White House to meet with Assad. The U.S. government had no formal diplomatic relations with Assad at the time. Assad was backed by Russia and Iran. Assad denied using chemical weapons. Republicans and Democrats criticized her for giving Assad a platform and appearing to undermine U.S. policy. She defended the meeting, saying that as a combat veteran, she was committed to pursuing peace. So that's, yeah, I mean, you could argue either side of that one. Maybe you could say, well, she's a bold, independent thinker. But then to make her director of national intelligence, like, I don't know. That seems like a role where you got to really know how the system works and be able to kind of be effective at it. You can't just be going rogue all the time. I don't know. But look, we're over an hour, so I think we'll have some closing thoughts, and then we'll wrap up. Spider, any closing? One correction, anybody who's made it. Actually, there's 80 people on the live stream right now. If you want to be a playtester for Nerds for Democracy, I said email Tom at Nerds for Democracy. It's Tom at Nerds for Humanity. So that's the email. I haven't gotten anybody to volunteer. So we need a couple more because we want to make this game freaking amazing. And so some more playtesters would be great. But maybe Spider, any closing thoughts from you before we wrap up?
Feedback on the game is super valuable. So if anybody listening wants to give feedback on it, it's absolutely welcome.
All right. Thanks, Spider. And thanks for all the great work. And it's been fun working with you. I can't wait to see this over the finish line.
Yeah, you bet.
Ram, any closing thoughts?
Today's discussion was good too. I wish I had more energy to participate with more gutso, but I think I made all the points I wanted to. And you guys made good points too. It was a good discussion. We should do more of these.
Yeah.
And
great.
yes, please play our game. Try it out. The email is on the screen. Write to Tom. We'll get you into the playtesting group.
Yeah, and Soldier One was actually one of our playtesters. So thank you, Soldier One, for I think he was the one that was playing with a lawyer in one of his games, and there was some dispute. So we definitely heard your feedback, Soldier One, and I think we made a bunch of improvements. So hit me up if you want to try the latest version. I think it's not a point release. It's like a 2.0 kind of jump in terms of playability and fun. So, but we'd love to get your feedback and make it better before we go full production. All right. I think with that, I'm going to let you guys go. And then I got to give a shout out to Nerds for Humanity channel members. But thanks for coming on the show, guys.
You bet.
Thank you, Tom.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye. All right. No, I'm still on the live stream, Wendy. I'm streaming from my dining room, so because I needed access to the board, so that's why you might be hearing some noise. Because Mrs. Nerd is back, and she is doing her thing, which is totally understandable. Okay, why does this channel continue to go on, even though we have to live with freaking Donald Trump, who I really don't care for? And why would a channel like this keep going when it only has, like 15, 17,000 subs? It's because of channel members. Who are these channel members? Well, let's start with our most senior ones, and they are the members of the Nerd Cabinet. So let me share my screen here, and hopefully you guys can see. The biggest is Soldier One. He's been supporting this channel for damn near 5 years, 58 months. And Parth supported the channel for over 2 years and then recently upgraded himself to become a cabinet member. And hopefully the audio is good, because part of the benefit of having new channel members is I was able to upgrade this speaker, microphone, and then this camera I upgraded a few months ago because of channel members. So you guys make that happen. And then there's the cost of the streaming software that we're able to get ROM and Spider on. So all this stuff like has monthly costs, and channel members help me offset that. All right, who else has been? The next level down is the congressional members, the congressional delegation. Kristen Slevin, Bike, and Zig PC. Kristen's been supporting the channel for over 5 years now. Unbelievable. Thank you, Kristen. Then we have our Nerd City Council: Gene, David, DK, Jackalego, Mr. History, Mona, Vaughn, Dean, Galessa, Jay Perrin, Dana, Jason, Daniel, Jeremy, Mickey, Jackson, Unkiyu. All right, weird scrolling behavior. And then we have our registered nerds. It only costs $1.99 to be a registered nerd. And I'll scroll through these guys. The ones at the top have been the longest standing supporters of the channel at the registered nerd level. So thank you to all of you nerds out there that keep this thing running, man. Oh, we have a fairly new one. Oh, 7 months. Actually, no. Yeah, actually, when you look at all of them, we haven't had anybody new join. So if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I've been thinking of joining, you'll be breaking the drought, because the last new member we had was 7 months ago. Unbelievable. But thank you to all the ones who stick with us. Sign up for the Nerds for Humanity Substack. So these are long live streams, and sometimes you'll miss them. But if you go to nerdsforhumanity.substack.com, you can subscribe, and you'll get a written summary of all the takeaways from the stream, as well as an embedded video. It's not quite as exciting as live, but it's almost as good. And then if you can't become a member and you've already subscribed to Substack, then the next best thing is like, share, and subscribe, of course, to YouTube. All right. With that, I'm going to say bye, nerds. Also, check out the audio podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Peace out, nerds.